I want to welcome everyone to the joint veterans endorsements for Veterans of Politics International, Nevada Democratic Veterans and Military Family Caucus, Nevada Veterans Association, and Armed Forces Chamber PAC. At this time, I want to go ahead and turn it over to our moderator so you can introduce yourself and then just explain the process.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, Dr. Petrick, for being here today. My name is Chelsea Fisher. You already know me, but I'm going to introduce myself for those watching who have not met me before. Currently, I serve on Nye County School District Board of Trustees for District 5, and I am also a candidate for State Senate, District 19. I wanted to also thank our sponsors, DB's Cajun Kitchen, Stephanie Phillips, U.S. Senate candidate, Ava Bravo, Las Vegas Justice of the Peace, Department 2 candidate, Heather Colliguire, Fleming, Esquire. Oh, I don't want to say this next name wrong. Is it Dion? Dion?
Just say Levi Schultz.
Dion Levi Schultz, U.S. Congress District 4 candidate, Christian Bishop, Nevada State Senate District candidate. So during this interview process, the panel members will introduce themselves by giving their name, position, and the organization that they represent. Then each candidate, which it looks like will only be you, will be given 45 seconds to introduce themselves. Please include why you are running and why you are seeking our endorsements. Candidates, please remember this is an interview, not a debate. So when asked a question from a panel member, you will please direct your answer towards the panel members only. When a panel member asks you a question, you have 45 seconds to answer. With 15 seconds left, you will see the yellow card. And when your time is up, you will get the red card. In the end, candidates will be given 45 seconds for a closing statement. Do you have any questions?
No.
Is your mic
Yes,
on?
I think my mic's on.
Just remember that the mics, we can't have them all hot at the same time, otherwise you're going to get a lot of reverb. But want to thank you very much, John, for coming. Appreciate it. And being willing to put yourself in the arena. It's a tough thing, as you well know. Go ahead and just introduce yourself.
My name is Dr. Jon Petrick. I'm an assembly candidate for District 21, which is down in Henderson. I've been a long time a resident of Las Vegas for 25 years. I'm proud to be a Nevadan and even prouder to be an American.
Thank you. So at this time, we'll go ahead and start with our questions. Which panel member wants to start first?
I will.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hello, Doc. How you doing today?
Yes, sir. Very
I'm
well.
Rocco Lacey. I'm with the Armed Forces Chamber of Commerce and also Vice President of Montford Point Marines Association. Welcome. I guess my question would be, what would be your strategy for addressing the unique health care concerns for aging veterans, including like their long-term care services and support conditions related to military services?
Well, thank you for the question. Thank you for having me. As a physician, this is one of the lead reasons why I ran for office, is I've seen firsthand what happens in healthcare. My father was a colonel in the Marine Corps. He flew the CH-46, as I explained earlier, and I saw a very smart man come out in a bathrobe telling me that if you don't have PTSD, you will after you fill out these DBQs. So I have always been a military brat, if you will. Cared about the service, cared about the military, and one of the things I care most about is the healthcare. I actually have a affiliation with a company that helps select service connections between veterans and their disabilities. Right now, you'd be impressed to know that how many veterans are capable of receiving disability and getting their ratings, but they just don't know how to do it. The paperwork is tough. So I have some affiliation with that and helping people get their ratings, their DBQs.
All right, so I guess I'll ask the first question. So, just full disclosure, I ran his opponent's campaign last primary cycle. just wanted to get that out there. But at the same time, because of your extensive background in physical and mental health, what could you do if elected to actually just bring this to your peers? Not necessarily write a law for it, but educate them on how to do these things.
Well, first, we lose 23 servicemen every day, records show. That's not Kobe Bryant's number or Michael Jordan's number. That is how many people we lose unnecessarily. I've spent years, 25 years plus, in medicine and realized that we just can't keep everybody a pill. That's why we're losing them, is that we just have over-medicated our servicemen. They turn towards medications and end up in addiction. We have to look for alternative methods for these veterans. I've studied immensely. I've traveled the country talking to other peer physicians. What can we do as a state legislatively to allow options to try various different alternative medicines? How do we get them better access to health care, especially on the mental side? It's hard to believe that we lose more veterans to suicide than we do actually in battle. So it's kind of scary. So I would be willing to say that I would probably be a voice on the floor legislatively on how we could actually form real legislation around healthcare. So that my biggest point is that my biggest position is we need to establish good healthcare concerns, working with the Veterans Association, working with other groups to get these veterans the care and the services that they need. They currently do not. I will say real quick tidbit while I have some time. The VA treated my father very, very well towards the end of his life, so I did get to see firsthand of what that looked like, and I still believe we can do better for our servicemen and women.
Thank you very much, Dr. Petrick. I appreciate that. Whichever panel member wants to go next.
Good afternoon, Joaquin Perrier with Armed Forces Chamber of Pacts. Their questions pretty much answered two of my questions. What inspires you to run for the position that you're running for, and what unique qualities do you bring to the table?
That's a great question. COVID, OSHA came in and fined me. They wanted to shut me down. They didn't have warrants. They didn't have subpoenas to interview my staff. And it was at that time I realized I did not know my constitutional rights. I took it upon myself and I studied over 400 hours of Constitution class during COVID, where everybody's maybe taking vacations. I was studying. I went to Hillsdale College, Patriot Academy. I studied with the gentleman running for governor of North Carolina, and I learned the Constitution. If you go to my website, on my website, you'll find the entire Nevada Constitution narrated. I fell in love with American literature. To be truthful, I didn't know what I didn't know until I dove into it, and I realized how unrepresented we are in the legislature. I see it now, and it's easy. If people ask me all the time, what bills would you write? And it's this simple. You hold it up to the light of the Constitution. If it doesn't shine through, it's not a good bill. We have to get back to the Constitution. That is the framework which our founders created us for and this establishment on, and we need to get back to that. And that's the only way we're all going to be able to protect everybody, regardless of their race, color, creed, sexuality, or their party. We have to get back what brought us, and that is the Constitution, not of our United States, but also as well as Nevada.
You sped that up to get those words in there pretty quickly.
Dr. Petrick, Len Connell, I am the CEO and founder of RLC Veterans Assistance. We have offices in Henderson on Boulder Highway and also in the fantastic indoor swap meet. My father is a 100% service-disabled veteran. He's totally deaf. He got that way from his service in the Korean War. He's 93 years old and still kicking. Our company has 30 associates. We have helped over 3,000 Nevada veterans obtain their disability service awards in our 5 years of operation. Last year, we had over 550 people receive their awards. We have one company that charges veterans to do that, and they pay us to do it. We have a nonprofit called Veteran Assistance Angels, a 501c3, that also does it for indigent veterans, the same exact thing with no charge. So, Doctor, here's my question. If you had a choice between the policy of A, making it mandatory that no veteran ever pays any money for any assistance with obtaining his disability income awards, and limiting that to only being able to get assistance from the VA and veteran service organizations, namely the VFW, Disabled American Veterans, etc., which would probably make it an honest system, a totally honest system. The disadvantage would be 5 out of 6 Nevada veterans get no money from the VA at all. Veterans who do apply through those venues have an 11% chance of getting an award, or at best a 20, or going to a private system where veterans would have the choice whether to pay or not to pay, but they could hire their own trained, certified veterans advocate who would charge money to assist them to do that, bring on their own doctors, their own psychologists, their own support staff. However, privatizing it would open the door for perhaps some unscrupulous people that might want to take advantage of veterans, overcharge them, and et cetera. So if you had a choice between A and B, which one would you favor, sir?
I'm going to do my best to follow. One was to provide them a service in the public for no charge, and then the question to break it down is in the private.
Yep, charge or no charge, yep.
I'm affiliated with a company called Veterans Disability Solutions. We provide the service connection for these veterans to make sure they can qualify for this. We set it up that if we can't get them qualified, there's no charge. So there's opportunity. And also what we've done and what I've worked with is you need the adjudicator, you need the medical, and you need the attorney. This is expensive. I've put it all under one. When my father came out and was telling me that it's 45 pages for low back pain, it's 29 pages for sleep apnea, and you're looking at it and you got to write in the little boxes, I automated it. So what I've done is I've taken a problem and I've filled the hole in the bucket. I'm in the private sector. Even it's hard to get the attorney, the adjudicator, and the medical guy all in the same room. So I really can't tell you one way or the other. I think we should use the benefits that are available under the VA as much as possible. And there's some things also to consider. Because I understand medicine very well, I understand insurance. There are certain insurances that they have, certain insurances they don't have that we can utilize to offset costs. They need love. The bottom line is that they need love in both sectors, private and in the private and public sector. I have a solution for that.
Thank you, sir. And also, we just took 2,000 square feet in Henderson. We're looking to put a medical clinic there. So if you're interested, let's talk. Okay.
I hate to ever cut you off, Dr. Petrick, but if you go over the red card, we're going to have to start charging you. Have your monopoly money.
There you go.
Good afternoon and welcome, Mikey. Good afternoon and welcome, Mikey Kelly, Nevada Democratic Veterans and Military Families Caucus. So Nevada has a state agency that deals with veterans issues, the Nevada Department of Veterans Services. They oversee the home in the north, in Sparks, the home in the south in Boulder City, the veteran cemeteries, as well as they provide accredited veteran service officers to file claims for free for any person in the state. Recently, right now, they're under a state police investigation. Part of it was because the home up north was cited by Medicare, Medicaid services, 32 citations for misconduct. There have been issues relating to gender discrimination, sexual discrimination by staff. They had complained. They had a lot of people felt that the department wasn't being transparent. People complained. They were ignored. Their complaints were completely ignored by the governor. It wasn't until a legislator finally talked to the governor, as well as some of those employees complained to the press, and now we have all of a sudden they've fired the director, they've replaced the director, and they're going through a transition. Those folks who, many of those people are veterans, many of those state employees are veterans. What would you do to hold the executive branch accountable? I recognize it's a part-time legislative branch overseeing a full-time executive, but what those folks went through affected the veterans community severely. What would you do to make sure that this never happens again?
Well, there are checks and balances. What you're dealing with is Medicare. So there are billable services. So from what I know of the situation, there was overbilling, misbilled, misappropriations of funds. Unfortunately, this happens in the medical field. Anytime that you have a system that's predicated on profit and people are dying to get ahead, this is what happens. So I would probably say there are some safeguards that we could implement in regards to the cost of insurance as well as the utilization of insurance. One of the biggest challenges we have is access. Nobody should ever have to show up to work and feel threatened or feel like they're mistreated. Unfortunately, right now in our society, everything is on hyper alert and hypersensitivity management. 30 days is personnel. You have to look at the personnel. They've replaced the people, so I would probably say you have to give it some time for better processes and better personnel.
Can I add something? So one of the problems up north, when the home was built in 2018, they felt it was impossible to staff it with state employees quickly enough. So the legislature agreed to hire a contractor. That was only supposed to be temporary. It ended up becoming permanent, and now they're having to transition. Now the difference between the home up north and the home in the south has gotten cited, but far less citations. So it's certainly issues with, and the contractor wasn't being held to account as well. And it's just very frustrating, because I think when you talk about veterans and suicide, part of the problem is they're dealing with people, oftentimes toxic situations. On active duty, it's toxic leaders, and there's no accountability. If we'd actually hold folks accountable, maybe you would see an actual reduction in suicide and the frustration rate.
I think you kind of answered your own question. It's hold people accountable. That is one of the things you're seeing in all facets of government right now. Accountability is just not there. You need to hold these private sector companies, and that's one of the differences between going from public to private. You have more access to fire and get rid of new staffing, if you will. So just get rid of them. My first thing that I would probably suggest is that and this goes to cuts too. This goes to looking at government down the board. If in a private sector something's not working, you get rid of it. You just can't keep a failing program or for a failing column in business going if it's not serving the people or its purpose. So I would probably say get rid of them, fire them at will, and make sure that you can bring in somebody and hold accountable standards. In the private sector, what we do is we have these measures to keep track. We need to follow those measures. You're welcome, sir.
Okay, well, I'll ask the next question. So, one of the things that has always frustrated me about individuals, and this is not personal, I like you very much, personally. I just would like to know, a lot of times, individuals that are in the private sector can make more money in the private sector than ever going into the public sector. But yet they go into government, and then they get more access, and then they actually end up making more money because of that access. So is that why you are seeking public office, or do you really honestly say the same thing every candidate does? You actually care about public service?
Well, this is great. Thank you for that question. I think that leaders in our state right now need to have served a track record of serving. For 25 years, I've helped veterans with housing. I've helped veterans with their health care. I've helped them have better access. I provided suits for veterans coming out of prison so that they at least have a suit to wear when they're going to a job interview. No one's done this before. It's something that we did. I have nonprofits. I have backcountry butlers where veterans can take people camping. It provides jobs. If you look at my track record of 25 years of serving the community and loving vets, you'll see that it isn't just because I'm running for office, it's who I am. When I decided to run for office, one word came up every single time when I asked family and friends, should I do this? Is this what I should be doing? When my pastor, my priest, my parents, and the word came up, authenticity. I stand by my community leadership role, and the role that I play in the community is very, very important. We have to care about our vets. It starts at home, and it starts for having patriotism. So if you're not a patriot, don't run for office. And if you don't love Nevada, you especially shouldn't run for anything state. This is in my blood. I have served, as I said, for 25 years, and I cannot wait to serve in a different capacity and a leadership role in Carson City. It's not what I do, it's who I am. It's deep in my veins, it's deep in my heart. My father said, you can take the man out of the core, you can't take the core out of the man, and you can't take the patriotism out of me.
Thank you very much. Well, did you want to ask? Oh, you're going to pass?
No, I'm good.
I would like to chime in on this, and I don't want to sway anybody's opinion, but Mr. Sanson said I could chime in if needed. I just would like to say that I met Dr. Petrick during the pandemic when, they were forcing a needle in everybody's arm regardless of whether they wanted it. And Dr. Petrick was also providing ivermectin and hydrochloroquine to patients who could not get it from their doctors because the pharmacies would not be dispensing it. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I just wanted to say, too, obviously, I was running Dr. Petrick's, is it Petrick? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just make sure I'm correct on that. His opponent in the primary last election cycle, and I was asked, I've just been super impressed with you.
Well, the last thing we need in our party, in our state right now, is division. Obviously, if you don't know, I wasn't chosen by the governor, and I respect his opportunity this time to who he chose. She's a nice woman. She's a former police officer, so it's everything. So you don't always get everything you want, but that doesn't mean you can't be adults and work together. So the most important thing is, like my opponents last time, we hugged, we shook hands, we were gentlemen, and we were gentlemanly. And that's what we should be. We don't need more division on either side, whether it be the right or the left. They all belong to the same bird, and we gotta stop screaming at each other. Leadership is not how loud you are, it's how close you are. And that's what we need to get back to. So I appreciate that very, very much. It's about love, man. We gotta get back to loving each other and stop the hate.
All right, with that, since Barbie, you don't want to ask any questions? No, you're good? Okay. Any more panel members want to ask questions? Okay. With that, we actually have some extra time. So, John, again, appreciate your time very much for coming in. Just give your contact info, how people can get involved in your campaign, vision for the state. Let's cut it to no more than 2 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you. Once again, thank you for having me. I was very excited to come here because America, this country, the services mean a lot to me. I just did a town hall, and one of the things I suggested is I'm not against school. I got 12 years of it, right? But we need people in our trades. We're missing over 8 to 11 million. They estimate how many tradesmen. There's not a better place in the world to learn a trade skill or a drill than an armed service. We got to push our students back out into the armed services. Entry is low. People are not signing up. Who's going to defend our country if we don't change the narrative? We got to get back to loving and appreciating our patriots. We got to get back to loving and appreciating our military. This is something that again, you can't get it out of me. It is something that I will always put. So for all the panel members out there, know that if you're looking for a voice, I'll be the voice. I want to speak for you. I want to work with you. I don't care about your party. This is one of those issues. When I took my oath 25 years ago that God said, you will love every human being I put in front of you, regardless of their sex, their sexuality, their party, whatever it is. You just got to serve the person in front of you. I'll do the same thing in Carson City, regardless of party. As I said, both wings belong to the same bird. I appreciate being here. I'm very excited. Thank you for this. Thank you for Steve again for the opportunity. I do want to mention, I didn't bring it. I'm not here to sell anything, but I do have something for you guys in regards to how to help our vets get their qualifications for their ratings. I automated the system. I brought the medical, the legal, and adjudicator together. There are some things that we can do to keep their costs extraordinarily low. And the first thing is that really is just listening. God gave me 2 ears and 1 mouth. If you came to see what we do and how we take care of these people, I will promise you, we provide them with the 4-letter word that they haven't heard for a long time, and that is hope. I've sat across the table listening to a vet that says, I got no place to go, nobody loves, nobody cares, what do I do? And I can't get my disability. And I understand their call, so we answered it. So I just want to say thank you all for your service. Thank you for having me again today, and I appreciate being here. And I look really forward to hopefully obtaining and earning your support and endorsement.
Do we have enough time for me to ask? Okay, so to piggyback Mr. Jonas's first question, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name in the back. Oh, he wants me to cut it. Okay, so thank you again for coming, and we appreciated your interview today. Thank you to our sponsors, DB's Cajun Kitchen, Stephanie Phillips, U.S. Senate candidate, Ava Bravo, Las Vegas Justice of the Peace, Department 2 candidate, Heather Calaguire Fleming, Esquire, Levi Schultz, U.S. Congress District 4 candidate, Christian Bishop, Nevada State Senate District candidate. This concludes our endorsement of the interview.